Right now, the government shutdown enters a second day and it's putting paychecks on hold. Find out how some financial institutions are stepping in to help. Also, there's a new target point for immigration officials, and it's leaving a personal mark on one Georgia State professor. Find out how he views that move. And ChatGPT isn't just giving answers anymore. It might become your personal shopper. We will look at what is behind this high-tech advancement. This is The Take. Hello and welcome to The Take. I'm Faith Jesse, filling in for Chesley McNeil. This is The Take, where we go beyond the headlines and we look at why and how stories are impacting your community. Experts, they'll share what they know, and we'll have a little fun too. Let's get into it. Let's start with this. A new jobs report is out and it is painting a troubling picture of the U.S. economy. For the first time in nearly 2 years, private companies, they actually cut jobs, signaling a slowdown just as the federal government shuts down, adding more uncertainty. Let's look at these numbers here. Private sector employers, they shed 32,000 jobs in September. That is the steepest monthly drop since 2023. And that follows a small decline in August of 3,000 jobs lost after it was first reported as a gain of 54,000 jobs. Now, despite these job losses, wages, they climbed 4.5% over the past year, showing workers are still seeing steady pay growth. So while there are already signs of a slowdown, the timing couldn't be worse here. With the federal shutdown underway, hundreds of thousands of workers, they are facing furloughs and ripple effects. They could spread across the private sector. So with that, we want to bring in Emory finance professor Tom Smith to talk about what this means for the nation's job market going forward. Tom, thank you so much for being here. Let's start with this, a little riddle for you. In one word right now, the U.S. economy is what?
The U.S. economy is uncertain.
Okay.
So the reason I think that so many companies shed jobs, and I'm sure you've heard other reports that newly minted undergraduates are having a very difficult time finding employment. And so I think the reason for this is that there's so much uncertainty. A lot of it is revolving around the implementation of tariffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hearing that even in our reporting. Tom, let me ask you this. What's your biggest takeaway from this surprising loss of 32,000 jobs in September?
I think that a lot of companies are streamlining, trying to identify where they might have redundancies, trying to identify where there might be cost savings. Remember that the tariffs are not only increasing costs for a lot of companies, but they're raising the level of uncertainty. So these companies aren't sure how they can go about and plan, which means that they're trying to cut, trying to reduce some overhead and reduce expenses now in anticipation of even higher costs moving forward.
Yeah, giving to that uncertainty. Now, a big question, do you see this as a temporary dip, or is this the first sign of something even bigger in the labor market?
Well, I think that there is something even bigger happening. We just saw recently the Fed cut their target interest rates by 25 basis points, the first cut we've had in quite a while. The Fed's not going to cut interest rates just because, even though there's some inflationary pressures, the Fed is cutting interest rates because they're seeing a longer-term trend of, some kind of a depression in the market. And I think that this cut in employment is consistent with what the Fed is seeing. So I think it's a longer-term trend, and I think the economy might be heading for a recession. But I don't want to say it is for sure yet, because that scares a lot of people.
Absolutely. What's the best case scenario if this shutdown does end quickly, and what is the worst case if it drags on?
So the best case scenario is that cooler heads prevail. A bunch of politicians decide that it's not a really good idea to be politicking, especially when it comes to people's paychecks and their jobs. So cooler heads prevail. That's best case, that this next week they come to a resolution. Worst case is that everybody digs in their heels, so to speak, and they decide to drag this out for a long time. we have heard, and I think you've been reporting as well, that the administration, the White House administration is saying, okay, well, I think we're going to have to start firing people, not just furloughing them. And I think that's a really bad case scenario. We do not want that to happen.
I think a lot of people would agree that would be one of the worst case scenarios. Speaking of those workers, we know that up to 750,000 federal workers are furloughed. How quickly could we see those ripple effects hit the private sector?
So I suspect that a lot of those people who are going to be furloughed, who would be getting paychecks in the next week or so, they're going to say that the ripple effect is happening right now. I mean, these are people who have real jobs, and they have real houses, and they have mortgage payments and car payments, and got to take their daughters to soccer practice and what have you. These are real people. They're not going to get paid. It's going to impact the way that they live. It's going to impact the money flowing into communities. And so it's going to impact them immediately. We don't have to wait very long to see that happen.
And a lot of people are already living paycheck to paycheck. It takes me back to 2018 to 2019 when we saw even some TSA workers calling out sick because they said, hey, I don't have gas money. I don't have childcare. I cannot work for free, even though, of course, they were getting back pay. But at the moment, it was hard for them to do that.
Yeah, that's a great observation. Right? Remember that these furloughed workers, especially for TSA, I mean, if you're going to be traveling and you've got friends or family who's traveling, of course you want the TSA workers to be, screening that luggage, making sure that there's nothing that's going to happen, to our aviation system. And these people then are going to be working without a paycheck. As you also mentioned, which is a great point, I think the average family has less than or just around $500 in savings. So a huge number of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay. And if you're not getting your paycheck, how are you going to pay the rent? How are you going to pay the car bill? How are you even going to put gas in your car, as you just mentioned?
Yeah, a lot of people even turning to credit cards if they can get one. That's a whole nother story. Tom Smith, thank you so much for bringing your insight and perspective. We truly appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
You're watching The Take. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We want to take a live look now on the U.S. Capitol up in D.C., where not only visitors will be absent, but also lawmakers, the Senate, out of session today on this second full day of the government shutdown. Joining us from Washington is NBC's Bianca Fascini. Thank you so much for being here, Bianca. So no opportunities for votes today. We know it's a holiday. When do we expect this process to pick back up?
Hey, Faith, good morning. The next opportunity is not until tomorrow because Capitol Hill had already been planning to observe Yom Kippur today, as you just mentioned. So the Senate will reconvene on Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern to vote again, which is really the earliest that this could all be over tomorrow afternoon. But at this point, it really seems unclear whether there's a real chance of that happening at all.
And Bianca, we know yesterday we saw an unsuccessful vote. There seems to be so much finger pointing right now. It doesn't seem like either side is willing to budge here. We know that Vice President J.D. Vance is saying this is going to be quick. But as we know, back in 2018, it was not quick. Over 30 days of this government shutdown. Do you see from your reporting, could there be a breakthrough on either side? Could we get this resolved relatively quickly?
Well, one scenario here is that both sides agree to an extension that might reopen the government and allow for a little bit more time to negotiate. But right now, both sides really seem to be digging their heels in. And some lawmakers think that this shutdown could go on for at least a week, maybe even longer. I think one thing to watch out for, too, is the impacts of this shutdown, though, because historically we know that shutdowns haven't really had a significant impact on the economy in the past. And if it did have some sort of impact on the economy, it was eventually made up for. But it's not clear whether it'll be the same this time. I mean, one thing that this shutdown is doing is preventing the jobs report from coming out tomorrow because the Labor Department is shut down, right? So we know, and I know you were just talking about this with a guest, that the job market is sort of shaky right now. This is also our post-COVID economy where we're having our first shutdown. So it's not clear whether it'll be the same like before. A lot of investors are sort of assuming that it'll be the same thing where it's not going to have a huge economic impact, not a reason to panic, but this is also a different time. However, I will say that this is not President Trump's first shutdown rodeo. As you also mentioned, the last time this happened was during his first term. And right now, it really does seem like both parties are at a real standstill. It's not clear what sort of negotiations would come in terms of the health care fight that they're having and for those benefits for the Affordable Care Act and the tax credits. So it will be interesting to see if there's anything interesting said today or tomorrow when senators return. But again, right now, it really is unclear how long this could go on for. And it seems like both parties are sort of willing to just let this keep going before someone finally gives in.
And we do have about 30 seconds here. What is the White House saying about this?
The White House is very much in lockstep with the Republican Party on this. Vice President Vance did say that they're pretty much ready to go with layoffs. And there was a CBO estimate that hundreds of thousands of federal workers could be furloughed per day for as long as this shutdown goes on. So we're talking about a lot of federal workers here in Washington, but across the country that could really be impacted by this. And, we're seeing a very united front for the GOP and the Trump administration. And I mean, that could also be because they are they're the ruling party. They have control of the Senate and the House and the White House. So it will really be interesting to see how things play out the rest of this week and into next week as well.
And some Democrats seeing this as their only chance to really fight back because of what you just mentioned there. Bianca Fascini, thank you so much for coming on and providing your insight. We truly appreciate it. Plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. Well, the clock is ticking down, and each minute the federal government is still shut down. Banks and credit unions across the country, they are stepping up with lifelines for families caught in the middle. USAA and Navy Federal, they are among the institutions offering zero-interest loans to tide workers over until those paychecks resume. ViStar, M&T Bank, and others, they are waiving late fees, ATM charges, and CD penalties to ease day-to-day financial stress. And from mortgage deferrals to skip-a-pay credit programs, banks are rolling out flexible repayment options to keep those families afloat. So joining us now is Dana Karzan, Chief Marketing Officer for ViStar Credit Union. Dana, thank you so much for being here with us. Can we talk about how real financial strain for these furloughed federal workers can be?
Yes, thank you for having me on, Faith. We're founded on a naval air station about 70 years ago. We've worked with military folks and now extend our services to a number of folks across all sorts of professions, including federal workers. And, we're really here for our members in good times and bad. Right now is such a stressful time for many of our members. And we want them to know we are here with both short-term solutions to what they're facing, as well as longer-term solutions so they're prepared for any of these types of pay interruptions in the future.
And, so many people, they are struggling right now. Have you heard directly from members already concerned about paying those bills or making ends meet? What are they saying?
Yes, many members have already reached out to us, and fortunately, we're prepared. Unfortunately, we faced this before with our members, so we have things like the emergency relief loans. You mentioned the skip-a-pay opportunities. Even if they have CDs with us, we waive the penalty for getting those CDs out earlier so they can have access to those savings, as well as mortgage assistance, an ability to really look at things, even like a credit card limit increase temporarily so that they can be supported during this difficult time.
And I think it's also an issue of trust here, right? With certain members, people are dealing with a lot of emotional stress from the finances. So is there any support offerings there to help people, number one, trust you all and help them to kind of relieve this financial burden that they have emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, we're here for our members through the journey of their life, right? And so, financial services is an emotional, and your finances are a very emotional part of your life. Can affect your health. It can, it can be exciting. It's about achieving your dreams, and finances are a part of that, as well as challenges like many of our members are facing right now. So we are here to support, whether it's when you come to visit us in our branches or give us a call. We're here to support and find solutions for our members. And we really urge, all of the financial institutions that are out there to really be there for their customers and their members in this time, and really be creative about those solutions that they can put into place. Hopefully this is a short time and things will be back to normal, but being there for your customers and your members are what it's all about, whether it's in the good times or the bad times.
Yeah, I mean, each customer is a person just like you or me with families and plans and life,
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you this. If this shutdown lasts weeks instead of days, do you all have plans to expand or extend those reliefs? And I mean, you can even take us back to 2018 when we did see that, right? What did you all do then, and will you plan to do something like this now?
Yeah, so our program is actually in place. So, for example, our emergency relief loans, we already have that set up so that you could get a loan for up to 2 months of your pay already. Now, if this goes longer, which we hope we would never be in that situation, but if it goes longer, we will absolutely look at expanding and extending some of those opportunities, again, to support and help our members through that. But we also like to talk about what we can do to help people be prepared in case this happens a long time. So things like helping members set up emergency savings funds. We just did a big challenge earlier in the year where several thousand members and community members joined us to get that $1,000 put aside.
Wow.
So that they can handle some of these unexpected ups and downs that come their way.
A community effort, I tell you what, it is incredible to see people coming together and to hear folks like you at the top that are helping people as they navigate this. Dana Karzan, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. Welcome back, and we want to get you to some breaking news. We've just learned that a court of appeals has denied Atlanta-based journalist Mario Guevara's request to stay in the U.S. He could now be deported to El Salvador as soon as today. This is a case that we have been covering since June. Guevara is a well-known Spanish-language reporter. He was arrested while covering a protest in DeKalb County, those No Kings protests, back in June. Now, charges were later dropped. ICE still placed him in detention. Representatives for Guevara says that he's been targeted for his reporting on immigration issues. And the 11th Circuit Court acknowledged Guevara's First Amendment rights to report on these protests, but said in the case he did not file the proper immigration paperwork. This is something that we will continue to follow developments. We will bring you updates right here on 11Alive and 11Alive Plus. And we want to continue to speak about immigration. Memphis is now the latest U.S. city where President Trump has sent troops. It's part of his nationwide crime crackdown. Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing operations are underway with 9 arrests already made, 2 illegal firearms seized, and more than 200 officers. They've been granted special federal authority to aid in this crackdown. The White House says it is about restoring order, but local leaders and some civil rights groups, they are raising sharp concerns about militarizing city neighborhoods. So here with a unique connection is Dr. Thaddeus Johnson, Georgia State Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice and Criminology, also spent nearly a decade in active policing in Memphis, eventually becoming a police commander. Thank you so much for being here. And because you know Memphis well, you know the city. When you see these troops setting up there due to this order, what is the first thought that crosses your mind?
My first thought is, what are we doing? The second thought is, well, many of the people in Memphis is an outlier, right? We have some issues, right? We have homicide rates that rival Detroit back in the 80s and 90s. And so people are desperate. And it's funny, people are kind of split about whether we need the troops or not. I think there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty about how the troops will be used among the Hispanic community in Memphis, also among the citizens in Memphis, like who do we report to and these types of things. You also see the president and the administration saying one thing, and you see the leaders on the ground kind of saying another. And so I think there's some uncertainty among citizens that can raise some fear levels more so than being hopeful.
Of course, this is something that we've seen in other cities like Washington, D.C., Chicago, Portland, Oregon. Does it surprise you that President Trump has now come after Memphis?
Well, nothing surprises me right now. And actually, the thing is, I'm not sure if this is the sustainable crime control effort that Memphis needs. Even in D.C., we saw that over 40% of those arrests were for immigration or related cases. And also, many of the other arrests were for minor cases, none that's going to really have long-term public safety value. We know that with homicides and armed assaults, these individuals know each other. Sometimes one shooting incident can result in hundreds of retaliatory incidents. So simply saturating, stopping and frisking, stopping, showing to be the strong party does not really help the city of Memphis and its citizens in the long term or their day-to-day lives of dealing with crime.
Now, Dr. Johnson, some people look at this and say, hey, why wouldn't you want more help on the ground? Agencies need bodies. The president is offering this to them. Why not take the help?
I mean, one thing is this, think about in LA, during that operation over 6 weeks, there was $134 million spent. I'm sure there are plenty of ways where we can start jobs, build housing, beef up our police department, increase technology, and all of these things in the city of Memphis. You know, one thing that people confuse is that arrest is justice. Arrest is not justice, it's follow through and prosecution and conviction if that's correct. Our courts are already backlogged. Our jails already have issues that need to be fixed up to be certain standards. And so with that being the case, are we just making more arrests and dumping people into a system that can't even process them? And that's going to be a black eye when it comes to legitimacy and long-term deterrence for the city. And so it's not that people don't want the federal resources. They want to make sure that the local authorities and police who know the communities, who know the people are leading this. No one's not averse against having ATF and other task force coming to help. These things have worked in MLK and DC. They worked in Memphis before when they collaborate and not when it's a takeover. But the good thing is it at least sounds like Memphis is not an emergency takeover, that they have plans for a sustained campaign. And so I'm at least cautiously optimistic, but time will tell, particularly when it's homicides and firearm issues that are the issues in Memphis, and we know what works. So we need to support the city and their leaders and the nonprofits and the people on the ground who are doing the job and provide that support. So I think that's where kind of the confusion comes. And I think that's where some of the priorities of leadership may conflict, and the people of Memphis will be stuck in between.
I want to build off of your answer. People of Memphis, we have 30 seconds here. You've been there. How do you think residents are going to react to this?
I think they will be patient. You know, many people in Memphis are desperate. Many people want to see crime go down. It's been a generational thing there. But I think people don't want to see us going back to videos and films of the 60s and all of these things. If the National Guard comes in support, if the troops are just supporting and protecting federal facilities, I think the legitimacy and things will be fine. But the local leaders have to be at the forefront. It cannot be the president or his people that's leading the city of Memphis. That's not how things work, and that's not how things should go.
Dr. Thaddeus Johnson, we truly appreciate your perspective, being in Memphis for some time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
You're watching The Take. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Not all driving schools are created equal. This morning, 11Alive consumer investigator Liza Lucas, she is digging into an ongoing problem: unlicensed schools popping up here in Georgia. The state warns families to be on alert because failing to do your homework, it could cost you big and even put you at risk on the road. So joining us is consumer investigative reporter Liza Lucas, digging deeper into this. Liza, thank you so much for being here this morning. We know that you've worked very, very hard uncovering some of the issues with these unlicensed driver schools. What's really at stake here, Liza?
Good morning, Faith. Well, whether you're in the excitement of just signing your teen up for driver's ed or rushing to get your license back, it's easy to see a program online and just click enroll without thinking twice. But some of these so-called driving schools are advertising courses online without ever being certified by the state. And here's the risk. You could spend hundreds of dollars only to find out when you go up to the Georgia Department of Driver Services that your certificate is worthless. Even more troubling, uncertified instructors may not be vetted at all, raising real safety concerns when it comes to who is in the car with you or your child. Now, given driving is serious business, we spoke with Rachel Marie Galati of Nathan's Driving School, and she walked us through what it takes to meet the state's rigorous certification process. Take a listen.
They want to make sure, that we're putting students in the car with people who are safe and experienced. And it's a very rigorous process to become a driving school, and it requires a lot, and it's a very rigorous process to stay and continue. We are constantly renewing licenses for our instructors, for our administrators, and for the school in general. We have to have background checks. We have to have drug screens, and they are trained and tested with DDS even before we've officially hired them. We send a letter of intent to hire, so before someone gets behind the wheel of a car, they've gone through all of that process and a training process.
And Rachel really reminded us of the fact that much of driver instruction happens one-on-one. So that means you want to be absolutely sure, Faith, that the person in the passenger seat has been properly trained and cleared to be there.
You absolutely do. I would not want anybody that's not trained to be sitting next to me, supposed to be teaching me how to drive. How easy is it for families to check if a school is really certified here?
It is super easy, but it's definitely a step you need to take. All you do is go onto the Georgia DDS website, and whether you're looking for driver instruction or driver improvement or maybe a court-ordered class, they've got a section for all of it, and you can go down the list. There are hundreds of schools to choose from. They're spread out across the state to make sure you have one that is certified. And I really want to reinforce that because there are some that we called who've been flagged by DDS in the past that still told me over the phone that they were certified, even though there is no state record and they haven't been for years. So take that pause, take that extra step, go online and check.
Okay, and what should you do if someone is already enrolled in a school that turns out not to be licensed? Maybe they did like you. They called, they said, yep, we're good to go. And then turns out, nope, they're not. Or maybe they lost their license.
Well, it's unclear if there are repercussions for getting that money back. That's something you'd probably have to fight for, but definitely report it to DDS. They take complaints. They have a compliance division, and they will send cease and desist letters to organizations. From there, it will go up the chain if those schools don't stop advertising those services, and they could face charges ultimately.
And you led me into my last question for you, Liza. Is DDS, they're doing this, obviously, like you just said it in your report, but are they even stepping up on efforts to crack down on these uncertified operators here?
Well, they are constantly monitoring both the certified schools and then also investigating any complaints that they receive. And sometimes those tips come in from the certified schools who recognizes somebody is not on the up and up. As mentioned, they will also send cease and desist letters if they get wind of the fact that a school is operating as if it's licensed and it's really not. And from there, it will go up the chain to the AG's office and they can refer them for possible prosecution from there. So yeah, AG's office is not what you want to be dealing with.
I mean, you think talking about your kid learning how to drive
Exactly.
or somebody trying to learn how to drive, very important. Liza, thank you so much for bringing that to us. You can see Liza's full story tonight on 11Alive News at 11 right here on 11Alive Plus. If you have a tip you want to get to our investigative team or to Liza, you can call us at 404-873-9111 or email us at investigate@11alive.com. All right, let us take a look outside right now. We are taking a look at Midtown. Plenty of sunshine there. Not as much heat. When I was walking in today, I was like, oh, it's a little chilly. Different than what we were dealing with yesterday. As we do every Thursday, let's talk with the National Weather Service. With us today, meteorologist Sid King from the agency's office in Peachtree City. Sid, thank you so much for being here with us. So like I said, a vast difference from the 80s that we saw yesterday to this morning, the stretch of cooler, drier weather through Saturday. What is driving this? And might I say, we're in October. We're ready to feel it.
Thank you so much for having me. We are getting our first glimpse of fall weather today. We have a high pressure system that is drying things out quite a lot. and then we had some cool air move into the area with it as well. So plenty of sunshine through today, tomorrow, and into Saturday, setting up nice conditions for the next few days. And highs are only going to be in the upper 70s to low 80s for the next few days. So as you can see, I break out my flannel as soon as I can this time of the year.
I wish I had a flannel on right now. You see what I'm wearing? I have no sleeves. I was a little chilly when I came out of my car. Let's talk about that humidity. For the ladies, we know that because of our hair. Are we talking lower humidity in the mornings, the afternoons? What does that look like?
A lot less humidity today, tomorrow, and Saturday.
Okay.
On Sunday, the humidity is going to start to increase once again. We're going to have some moisture spread back into the area in the south, and that's going to lead to dew points up into the 60s and 70s as we get into Sunday and into the early parts of next week.
And we've had a little bit of a dry spell. We did have a little bit of rain, but a lot of people, of course, they're planning their days, their weekends, their travel. When are those rain chances expected to return, and any possibilities rather of storms?
By Sunday, we will start to see isolated showers and thunderstorms possible. That's going to work its way north through the area, and we're going to have isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms each day, Sunday through Thursday of the coming weeks. So about 20 to 30% chances of rain each day. Not expecting severe weather with it, but you could have a storm or two that produces some lightning and some breezy winds.
And then another question for you, said, is this a false fall? Are we going to see 80s again, or are we in it?
It looks like we're going to start seeing 80s come up again. We are going to warm up again through the middle parts of the week. We are kind of in the tug of war at the moment between the end of summer and the beginning of fall. So we will see a brief return to some late summer-like conditions during the early and middle parts of next week.
All right, well, that's good to know. So keep those short sleeve shirts out for now. The full flannel wardrobe coming in very soon. And we love your flannels, Sid. Thank you so much for bringing us your perspective and being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Gotta go grab my sweater. Plenty more in store for you. We'll be right back. This is The Take. Welcome back in. Okay, so let's talk about this. Some investors, they don't seem to be too concerned with the federal government shutdown. Let's talk about it and head up to New York to CNN's Maribel Aber joining us from the NASDAQ market site. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning, Maribel.
Hey, good morning, Faith.
So I want to ask you, how is
let's talk about stocks. Let's talk about what's going on. Investors are entering the
Sorry about that. Let's talk about
Wall Street.
Yeah.
Investors are entering the trading day this morning as the government, we've been talking about it all morning, right, is entering day 2 of the shutdown, Faith. So, what it means is an economic data blackout is underway. And the September jobs report will not be released tomorrow. President Trump warned this morning that federal worker layoffs are imminent. And so far, neither side is blinking on their demands for the spending bill. In terms of how that's moving the market with trading right now, Faith, looks like the Dow is up about 63 points, the S&P up 5. And here at NASDAQ, we're up about 43 points, Faith.
Thank you so much, Maribel. And for our viewers at home, that's called a delay when
so
we're
Amazon.
going back and forth. Let's talk about Amazon, Maribel.
Okay, Amazon has launched a new brand called Amazon Grocery. It combines its Happy Belly and Fresh brands under one label. The private label includes more than 1,000 items, most under $5. So the line offers dairy, fresh produce, meat and seafood, snacks, and more. Last month, Amazon expanded same-day delivery of fresh foods across the country. It's hoping to encourage customers to add meat and eggs to their order while they're shopping the online store. So 2 things consumers like: fast delivery and a deal. Meanwhile, Peloton is going all in on AI. The fitness company is releasing 5 new products, a cheaper base model and more expensive plus versions of its bike and treadmill, and a new rowing machine. Peloton's plus versions of those 3 machines now have a feature called Peloton IQ. That's an AI-assisted feature. It acts like a personal trainer, if you will, giving feedback on users' form, plus rep counting and suggested workout plans. If all that took was AI to get me to get going, then I'd go for it. But Meta's AI chatbot will soon start to personalize your your ads based on what you say to it. Users will see notices of the change next week, but it won't kick in until December 16th. Meta already targets ads based on posts, clicks, and social connections, but now conversations with Meta AI, like shopping plans or travel ideas, will help guide both ads and content recommendations. Meta says it won't use sensitive topics like religion, politics, or health. You'll still be able to use its ad preferences tool to add or remove topics that don't interest you. So Faith, just another data point for that algorithm. You know, if we say it, somehow the ads show up.
And you know they're listening to us right now, and we are listening to you, Maribel. We really appreciate your insight, and sorry for that little back and forth once again, folks. TV, a little bit of delay between here and Atlanta. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. It seems like we've been talking about AI, artificial intelligence, a lot. Seems like every day there is a headline in the world of AI. The latest, OpenAI's new instant checkout lets ChatGPT buy items inside of your chat. It can be convenient, but what does that mean for budgeting, fraud protection, and impulse spending? Let's talk about it with Dinesh Shah, professor of marketing at Georgia State University's Robinson College of Business. Thank you so much for being here with us. You know what? As an Amazon shopper at 2 a.m. myself, it's so easy to just buy. This, I don't know if I want ChatGPT buying things for me. Is this a beginning of a new era in e-commerce and where AI agents have really become the storefronts here?
Yeah, no, indeed. Thanks for having me, first of all. And no, this is pretty significant news because if you think about it, Amazon and Google have traditionally been gatekeepers of e-commerce. And now we have these AI chatbots with the latest news coming in that not only help you search and discover products, but even complete your purchases. And so that's in a way, challenging the status quo of these big tech companies. And going back to your point earlier, yes, it will absolutely contribute to impulse purchase. In fact, that's what retailers are hoping for, because every retailer, right, wants you to make a purchase in the moment. Because if you don't do it right then and there, you've lost a customer.
Absolutely. TikTok shop, anyone? Amazon? Is it just me? I don't know. Let me ask you this. If AI is making these purchase decisions, are we still in control, or is it quietly kind of steering our choices into what we buy?
Well, it's definitely influencing your choices. It's not making the choices for you yet. So the instant buy button still relies on the human to click on it to make that purchase. But the fact that it can sneak in products or product recommendations in the day-to-day chat that you are having with your AI chatbot, it will definitely play a very significant role in impacting your purchase decision. But this really opens up, right? If you think about it, and the magnitude of the news lies in the fact that this can really grow into completely autonomous shopping chatbots. And that's what OpenAIs and Geminis of the world want to achieve, and make it completely autonomous so that you could just load in your wish list or your shopping list, and these chatbots will go out there, pick the right product, hopefully at the best right price, and complete the transaction for you without you doing anything.
That's right, and maybe it actually saves you money in the long run. I remember when I was a kid, my dad would give us $10 to go to the mall. You don't get anything that's not on this list that's over $10. So technically, if he had this, he could say, put it in the list, this is coming home, we're not even going to the mall. Let me ask you this, what should consumers be told about when it comes to their data and their privacy being shared with these merchants?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. There's a lot of gray area out there right now. It could, the data that you load in can potentially be used by these AI agents, for future training. Of course, OpenAI has made some disclosures in terms of privacy and security to some extent. But the bigger issue, right, for consumers is relevance and trust, which will pretty much dictate, how successful this cool feature, and this really wow factor plays out in the long run. So as a consumer, I want to trust the chatbot that it's making, it's choosing the right products for me. So that's number one. And, because you only see one or two products, you don't see the entire gamut of products that you see on Google. So that trust is, the trust threshold goes much higher when it comes to AI chatbots. And then the second thing is you should also trust them that not only the product is relevant, but it's also at the lowest price possible. Because the search process happens at the back end, and these chatbots are completely autonomous, and it's a black box as far as consumers are concerned, it may take some time before consumers, completely trust the chatbot with their wallet.
Also a question of, these merchants, are they paying OpenAI to put their products at the top like we see with the sponsored deals with Amazon, things like that? How soon can Georgians start using this? When does this roll out? Are we talking years, months, days?
Well, if you're shopping through Etsy, you can pretty much see the product and use the Pay Now button right at this very moment. And doesn't matter whether you're a Georgian or any resident in the United States, the feature is live. OpenAI wants to roll it out to Shopify as their next partner and to practically any retailer that's out there. And you won't be surprised if in the next couple of months we'll see a lot more other announcements. Google has been working on AP2. It's a different protocol that allows interactions, communications between the AI chatbots and the payment systems of respective retailers. So yes, it is pretty much a thing that is going to pick up momentum over time. And you can make a purchase off Etsy right now.
You can do it right now. You heard it here first. I did not know about this until today, so now I know. Thank you so much for bringing us your insight and perspective. I don't know if my bank account is happy about this news, but we'll see. Thank you so much.
Sure. I mean, as of now, at least we have full control on our wallet.
Yeah.
But things can change pretty soon.
I know what you're telling me. You're saying it's my self-control. I need to figure that out, not ChatGPT. Thank you so much for coming on. We truly appreciate your insight into this.
Thanks for having me.
Plenty more in store for you. This is The Take. Hey, welcome back. We are taking a live look at the King and Queen building. Beautiful blue skies out there on this crisp fall day. It could be false fall because, as we heard earlier, it's going to get a little warm later in the week. But before we go, I want to give you my final take. It's around something so many of us are navigating right now, and that's burnout. We are all living in a time with financial cutbacks at companies, downsizing to meet their bottom line, and leaving employees with extra workloads and no extra help. The political climate has transformed our social media feeds into battlegrounds of opinions, triggering emotional stress on and offline. A lack of mental health resources covered by insurance makes some wonder if they can ever get help. Well, guess what? There is hope, there is help, and there is something you can do about it. First, make sure to set those boundaries and detach when you can. Turn off those email notifications, put a pause on those after-hours work calls, stop doom scrolling on social media for hours, and let your friends and family members know if you need time to yourself. Second, prioritize your rest and your sleep. Third, move your body and exercise to lower those stress hormones and improve your mood. Fourth, find support, whether that be social support or professional help. Try to surround yourself with people who bring you peace and don't add additional stressors. Burnout isn't a personal failure, it's a signal. Addressing it with rest, boundaries, connection, movement, and sometimes professional support can not only ease your stress, but help you build long-term resilience. Thank you so much for being here. This is The Take.